Mark, thanks for joining me to talk a little bit about CDK Global and where we are these days.
My pleasure. Hello.
So, uh, for those who may have forgotten in the hot summer days that have passed since this all kind of the DMS world went to hell for a little bit, uh, give us kind of a recap of what happened with CDK Global and the cyber attack that they suffered back in June.
Well, back when everybody expected things to be quiet for a while, on June 19th, two cyber attacks, not one, but two, disrupted everything because to contain it, CDK Global had to shut down their dealership management business across the board for everybody. It affected 15,000 customers across North America. And the timing was awful because it was 2 weeks before the end of the month and the end of the quarter as far as what dealers need to do to calculate revenue and earnings and all kinds of other things. And it took 2 weeks to resolve for most dealers. Just before the July 4th holiday, most everybody was back in line with the basic system, but it's even taken longer still for a lot of the third-party software connections that dealers use with this system. So that's mostly done now, but it's been ongoing.
Dealerships learn how to do deals with a pen and paper, pencil and paper, and now things have kind of settled down.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of back to normal, I guess, and things are humming along again. Bring us up to date. So if I'm a dealership and I've maybe lost some money because I couldn't sell cars or I couldn't sell them as efficiently as I could with my properly working DMS, or I've had to give people overtime so they can input all the sales that were put down on paper
Mm-hmm.
and put them now into the system, uh, I would expect some kind of compensation from CDK Global or does CDK offer dealerships some kind of recompense?
They, in fact, did. And they have not publicly said what that compensation is, but dealers have told us that it's basically a rebate for June. So they get a month off of their fees.
And how was that received in the dealership world?
Well, CDK says that it's generally been well received from dealers who are grateful for any kind of compensation for the troubles they face. But a lot of the dealers that we've spoken with weren't pleased because their costs went well above 1 month's subscription for the DMS service. They had to have endless overtime. They hired temporary third-party software vendors to work around all the troubles they had and the holes they were faced with CDK system down. They also needed to probably expenses for pen and paper because they needed to switch to manual all of a sudden. So these were money spent well beyond what a month's service cost.
And have you heard from customers that you spoke to, or CDK customers? Have you heard? We always in the media, if people are upset, they'll they'll tell you. If they're happy, they're not going to call Automotive News and tell you that they're happy. They're usually going to call you when they're not happy. Are you hearing from many who are looking to switch from CDK Global because of this incident?
Well, the hesitancy of staying with them remains for some. It's kind of a wait and see situation because the other aspect of compensation is, some experts that I spoke with said that it is a process, that this could be a first salvo, and before they're done, they may offer something else. So it's a wait and see to see what CDK will ultimately do.
And so people are back to kind of business as usual. Um, if I'm a dealer and CDK gave me a little bit, they comped the month of June, but I maybe still have some sense. Do dealers have something an insurance that can kind of cover this kind of event as well?
Well, they hopefully do because business interruption coverage is usually part of most business policies, and so they'll have something. So the initial failure of service is what CDK is compensating for. So, and that is a standard thing that companies who face what CDK face offer in compensation. So basically, compensating for the initial failure of service. Any more consequential damages that go beyond that, which for dealers would be, the extra expense, the overtime, the temporary contracts, and the extra pen and paper. That is what their insurance policy should be for if they choose to go that route. Again, July's results are yet to be calculated. They may have some other issues in terms of losses from those first few days, and perhaps CDK will offer more, but it remains to be seen.
And finally, we're the cyber attacks. I mean, they're all over the world, and they happen in dealerships, they happen in health systems, they happen in hotel chains. And I think I think everyone's still a little bit on edge. And you wrote about this week too about in the wake of the CrowdStrike outage with Microsoft Windows. Tell us a little bit about how kind of dealerships were kind of impacted with that as well, with kind of some phishing scams going on.
Well, it's really quite awful. Dealers are still skittish about what happened in June with CDK, but now CrowdStrike has created some indirect problems for them as well. Uh, CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity firm, and for people who weren't following the news, around July 19th, they did a software update that crashed their systems everywhere, and it affected Microsoft systems across the globe. It downed airlines. It affected business operations in multiple industries. Dealers this week got two warnings from two different cybersecurity firms that there are bad actors posing as CrowdStrike IT people, and they are uh, either sending emails asking dealerships to upload updates to their Microsoft systems, or they're contacting them outright, saying they need to access their systems to basically update any CrowdStrike related software. But that's all bogus because uh, CrowdStrike is not involved in those and is not addressing the situation that way. They're basically people trying to capitalize on the CrowdStrike crisis, and they're targeting dealers, but also other industries too.
Yeah, just more indicative of the times we live in, and that you got to be careful on what emails you open and answer, and what calls you believe. And so, uh, just another good reminder for everyone, dealers and regular journalist folks like us as well. Mark, appreciate the conversation. Thanks for updating us on CDK's outage and where we are today.